In this presentation, we're looking at how animals are used in research and why it's such a complicated ethical topic. Our group divided the work so each of us could focus on different perspectives, from public opinion to peer-reviewed science. The overall goal is to understand both the benefit of animal research and the concerns people have about it. This slide introduces the overall issue of using animals in research and why it's such a complicated topic. A big part of the debate is figuring out how animals should be treated while still allowing science to move forward. Researchers often argue that animal testing is necessary, but ethically people worry about what counts as right or wrong. It becomes a balancing act between moral responsibility and scientific progress. This is what sets up the rest of the presentation and why the discussion matters. Animal research numbers are extremely high worldwide, and the United States uses the most at around 20 million animals a year. These animals are mainly used in medical, cosmetic, and chemical testing to check safety or effectiveness. When you compare the numbers across different countries, it becomes clear that animal testing is a global practice, not just something happening in one place. The scale can be pretty surprising, and it makes people question whether all of these tests are truly necessary. It also brings up the bigger conversation about finding more humane or alternative research methods in the future. In the United States, guinea pigs, rabbits, and hamsters make up a large portion of animals used in research, which is not something most people would expect. It is interesting to see how many different species are involved, from common lab animals to dogs to even non-human primitives. The other covered species category is also surprisingly big, showing how wide the range of research animals really is. Looking at the percentages helps put into perspective how much diversity there is in animal testing. It also raises questions about why certain animals are chosen more than others and how necessary each category truly is. This graph shows that over the past 2 decades, fewer people in the US think animal testing is morally acceptable, while more people believe it's morally unacceptable. There's a clear downward trend for acceptance and a steady rise in opposition, almost like the lines are slowly trading places. Overall, it reflects a shift in public values as more people question the ethics of using animals in research. Popular press perspective. People's views on animal research have shifted as we learned more about how aware and capable animals really are. Ethical guidelines like the 3 Rs and federal laws aim to reduce harm and make research as humane as possible. Overall, the ideas show how science and ethics work together to shape how we treat animals in research. Texas A&M is investigating heavily in livestock research to support the Texas agricultural industry, focusing on better breeding and long-term herd sustainability. At the same time, most students across the country are pushing back on animal use in classrooms, especially when humane alternatives are available. There's a growing sense that students shouldn't feel pressure to participate in labs using animals, and many are calling for updated, more ethical approaches in education. Peer-reviewed scientific perspective. This debate really boils down to two things: ethics and science. While we rely on the utilitarian idea that human benefits outweigh animal suffering, we now know that stress and biological differences mean animal data can be scientifically unreliable. To move forward, we use the 4R framework, replacement, reduction, refinement, to minimize and improve animal use, pushing for alternatives. However, we can't forget the historical importance of this work, especially since the FDA still maintains testing for drug safety. We're aiming for a future where better, more human relevant science means that we can finally move past this ethical compromise. Looking at where we stand today, this controversy is definitely still hot. Your stance on animal testing often boils down to your own opinion, professional background, or just your personal moral viewpoint. It's truly a complex issue where a scientist, a philosopher, and an activist will all see things differently. Despite all the disagreement, there's one key area of overall agreement. We need better accountability and regulation in place. Whether you support the practice or not, everyone agrees that there's significant room to improve how labs are managed and how decisions are made. Ultimately, better oversight benefits the animals and leads to more reliable science. Using this poll data, we could see that the US public view of animal testing is changing. There's a clear steady trend in 2001 for morally acceptable, and it's been decreasing, while the line for morally unacceptable has been rising. To quickly summarize our data, we started with historical view where animals were seen as objects, which paved the way for human testing to become a huge part of the medical advances. Today, we recognize this issue using frameworks like the 3 Rs to minimize suffering, reflecting a growing ethical shift, seeing even in student opposition to using animals in classroom.
In conclusion, what one person views as acceptable, another may see as unethical. Building on this, our group did come to a clear consensus that we are against animal testing, especially when it jeopardizes animal welfare, something we learned extensively about in class. Even with existing laws and regulations, there are still gaps that allow animals to experience suffering, and that reality shaped our overall stance. Thank you for watching this presentation. These are our credits, and here are the citations for the entire project and all of the images.